can't run.
Everybody runs.
Tom Cruise. In a Steven Spielberg film. June 21st.
You don't have to run. You don't have to chase me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinemarcade. This is the podcast about movies, video games, and the sparks that fly when those worlds collide. But I already knew that. This is the episode about the 2002 Steven Spielberg-Tom Cruise collaboration Minority Report. My name is Steve Guntley, and yes, I am a precog. Who is joining me here today? As I predicted, I'm gonna beat this into the ground.
Wow, that's as you predicted.
I'm gonna beat this to the ground.
I mean, it was on the calendar.
Yeah.
It was on the calendar.
Or was that determined by fate?
I think it was determined the other day.
I think it was determined by you. You can't pre
I am fate. No, go ahead. Who else is here?
I'm free will. Oh, huzzah.
My enemy.
I am the lingering concept that maybe cops aren't always good for the society.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can see
You're
that.
the lingering concept of that, Justin.
What? Stop lingering so much. Hey, you, concept. Stop lingering. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome back. This is the show where we're talking about movies and their video game tie-in adaptations. I don't think I repeat the premise of our show like
Enough?
hardly ever.
Like, no.
Ever. So
You very rarely suggest that people rate rate us, and they're like,
I liked it.
Definitely rate us.
Oh, yeah, everybody rate us, but good. But just
Good,
ignore
good.
ignore what you're hearing and
You
just
don't
rate
like
us
it.
well.
But
yeah,
just
And then
listen.
send fan mail about how much you love us.
Exactly. Draw
But, like,
pictures
in a
of
way
Justin
that-
with Shrek.
Do it in a way that isn't creepy. Please.
No, make it real creepy.
No,
don't please
if
don't
it's,
do it.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I get enough creepy shit in my email.
Yeah, we don't need.
I sign up to a lot of creepy websites. It's okay, all right? And they automatically sign you up for the newsletter.
I just think it's really funny because like your other podcast is like has very risque movies.
We do, and it is like we've had a run for those who have
Fun.
for those who haven't listened to my show Puppet Masters Castle Freaks. We had a real run recently of like softcore porn movies. And it's just me and my co-host just awkwardly trying to talk about this movie in a way that's not like boobs. And we're just like, we're so shy
Because
about
that's
it.
how you would be talking about it.
Normally that's how I talk. Yeah. Beavis. Yeah. Well, contrary to all of this build up here.
That jawline.
What is that?
That's me objectifying Tom Cruise.
Oh, okay. So,
Not Colin Farrell?
I totally forgot we recently had. Colin Farrell looks great in this, by the way.
They both look great in this movie.
Yeah.
But I forgot that we recently did a cruise. We did Days of Thunder.
We did
Yeah,
Days of
so we did
Thunder.
Days of Thunder. We've done Top Gun, and we've done The Mummy. And I think we have one more Tom Cruise movie, which is Mission Impossible.
Oh, and then there was like The Color of Money, which we didn't do, but we did. The
We didn't
Hustler.
do, but you watched
Wasn't
it
a
like
Yeah,
just
I watched it
Legend
afterwards.
video game?
No, Legend was a huge flop. Yeah, and
What's Legend?
Legend is a movie that Tom Cruise did, I think, immediately before Top Gun. It's a Ridley Scott fantasy movie that's like,
Oh, the recent.
oh no, it's 1985.
Oh, no. There's another. There's another Legend.
Oh yeah, it's a different one, but it's like one of those movies that's like dull as dirt, but it's so pretty.
So pretty.
It looks incredible,
It looks
but like, man,
so
is it a
good.
snooze? Yeah. But
Like,
that's
if you just sort of like take a nap while you watch it, you'll have excellent dreams.
look, the Tim Curry makeup in that movie is
I was
unbelievable.
about to say, they got Tim Curry in there.
And we have like Tom Cruise looking like a literal fairy, like king, like a little
I think I've
pretty
heard
dewy
you talk
skinned
shit
boy.
about this before.
It's like not a good movie, but it's really watchable because of that. Now, on the contrary, I would say Minority Report is a fucking fantastic Tom Cruise movie that gets
It's-
so overlooked.
It's so good. And it's really interesting. I think it gets overlooked for a couple of reasons. Because, like, I feel like this is, I don't know if it's this movie or Mission Impossible where he starts running all the fucking time.
I think it's MI. Yeah. I think that's where he starts, like, really, his action star move is running really fast.
Well, it's because he can act while running, which is very hard to do. But Tom Cruise has nailed the acting while running.
This movie felt like it came out in 2002.
It did. That's a reason.
No, there's so many things in this movie where I'm like, that is very early 2000s. Some of like the cuts and the just like the depictions of technology and the stylization of like the colors and stuff.
But here's the thing. I think more so than a lot of movies from this era, which have aged kind of roughly, I think this movie largely gets the technology right.
Yeah.
It's not exact, but like you can see shades of our algorithm-based like social media. Like when he's like, I especially think when he's like walking down the hallway and everything's scanning his eyes and then targeting the ads directly to him. That's like when your phone definitely listens to you and like starts suggesting things based on conversations. Like that's really kind of advanced. And
one thing that I read was that they were being very particular about their decisions with wardrobe to avoid making any defining decisions in wardrobe that might place it too much towards like what that time period considered the future to be. They wanted to be more universal, so they stuck much closer to daily clothing that we were using at the time.
There's a lot of recognizable stuff, which I'm going to get into all that. I just want to preface this just by kind of saying, like, a lot of the reason I wanted to do this episode is because for the first time in several years, Steven Spielberg has a big, splashy, original sci-fi movie coming out this summer called Disclosure Day.
Right.
Which I'm really looking forward to because I love Spielberg in this mode. I feel like we get him in this mode like once a decade, and this is the one that he did for the 2000s. I guess you could say War of the Worlds, 2005. But that feels very different from this, or E.T., or Close Encounters, or Jurassic Park. You know, there's all these big futuristic sci-fi movies that he does. I think Spielberg is still kind of the best in the biz.
I was joking the other day because I feel like we've already had Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
Like,
literally, they dropped footage. I got that in my New York Times app this week. It's like, the footage has been released. It's unclear what it is. Literally, that was in the headline. It is unclear if what we are looking at.
I just like backtracking a smidge. I don't know if it's because it's always existed during my lifetime, but I've never considered Jurassic Park to be sci-fi.
I mean, it fully
what are you
is,
talking?
though.
It's
I don't know.
fully sci-fi.
I know, but it
I
never
get it
in my head
because it said modern
hits on
day.
that.
Like, yeah, I get that, but
obviously we're not cloning dinosaurs and stuff, but yeah, it definitely in my head it never triggered to me as sci-fi.
Well, I'm glad it can trigger now because it is sci-fi. It's a huge sci-fi property.
This is about as sci-fi as it gets. It's so sci-fi that it's in fact based on a Philip K. Dick story, which is the first time we're going to get to talk about it. Let's learn a little bit about Minority Report, which was released June 21st, 2002. It's directed by Stevie Spielberg, my old buddy. It's written by Scott Frank and John Cohen.
Your buddy.
Yeah, we're tight. It stars Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell, Samantha Morton, Neil McDonough, Patrick Kilpatrick, Daniel London, Catherine Morris, Lois Smith, Mike Binder, Tim Blake Nelson, and Max von Sydow. Now, the Minority Report, they had the "the" in it before, and then Justin Timberlake came along and told them to cut it because it's cleaner. It was originally published by sci-fi luminary Philip K. Dick in 1956. It's a novella. It's like maybe 100, 150 pages. It's not a big book. This is our very first time talking about Philip K. Dick on the show. It will not be our last because his work has inspired several great movies that we will cover, including Blade Runner and Total Recall, both movies we are going to cover. Now, Philip K. Dick specialized in socially relevant, kind of forward-thinking what-if stories that blend psychedelia, philosophy, and social satire. What kind of set him apart in terms of like movie makers is that his stories also lend themselves to be action movies in a way that like it doesn't necessarily immediately make sense, but like it works. It always works.
have never really known of Mr. Dick. However, now that I'm reading through, I'm like, okay, yep, know that, yep, that, and that. And
I've read a bunch
and
of this
that, and
stuff.
that. All of this has been portrayed in films or in culture and many other ways throughout.
He has a lot of things that are just kind of in the zeitgeist because they were ideas he came up with. One of those, of course, is a movie we are going to talk about down the line, Total Recall. And Total Recall was a very loose adaptation of that story, which was originally called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. And at one point, this movie was optioned as a sequel to Total Recall.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
Paul Verhoeven was going to come back. Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to come back. He was still going to be playing the same character, and they would just be trying to wrap in some of the story elements of this and being like the continuing adventures of Doug Quaid or whatever. But the company that owned the license to that, Carolco, famously went bankrupt in the mid-'90s because they financed Terminator 2. It was a massive, massive hit, but it still kind of cost them a little bit of money. So they still wound up going bankrupt in the end. Now, around that time, Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise were actively looking for a project to work on together. Those two, believe it or not, have been buddies since the early 80s. They've never officially worked together. They had a lot of close calls. Spielberg was actually originally signed on to direct Rain Man for Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. He had to bail at the last minute so he could do Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So they had to push that ball down the field a little bit. So here we are, 2002. Spielberg, tested, proven, reliable. Tom Cruise, tested, proven, reliable. They are both kind of the tops of their field. So it was kind of a big deal for the two of them to be working together. They've only done it twice. It's this and War of the Worlds. So they're only two movies together.
Your man John Williams is contributing.
John Williams
He's
back
around.
in the mix as always. Now Spielberg really liked the script because after it was revised a few times, it combined elements of sci-fi, murder mystery, and film noir in ways that allowed him to play with multiple genres. And he also was really interested in playing with technology in the way that he could like literally contribute something to the canon. Like the way he put it is that he wanted the things that you see in this to be like toys down the line. He wanted people to be able to actually use the technology depicted in this movie. This movie is set in 2054. It came out in 2002. So like it's not so wildly far in the future that we can't like fathom it. For us, that's 28 years later. That's 28 years later. Yeah, hey, we're there. So Tom Cruise is probably like a child right now, and then like is going to grow up into his role of being John Anderton. But yeah, Spielberg, ever since E.T., he liked to consult with like scientists and writers and experts on the field to try and get things as accurate and as realistic as possible. So he spoke to authors, he spoke to futurists, computer programmers, people who were working to predict the directions that technology was going to go.
Well, they just did such a good job because this world feels lived in.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like there's lots of throwaway different areas of they've classism. It just is like it seems like it's not sort of tacked on with that a lot of science fiction movies do.
Apparently they put together like an 85-page kind of like world Bible almost.
Yeah.
To like set the technology and to set the general, like they were thinking of like social and economic situations, political situations, and it was all stuff that was like not in any way directly related to the movie, but it was all stuff that was like, this is what's going to elevate the movie. This is what's going to make it feel that way. Is they genuinely put a lot of thought into that, which is something that I always appreciate. I love world building.
Yeah.
And I love it when people sit down and do a bunch of work that wasn't necessary and make something really cool.
Exactly. This is one of the first movies to ever use previs, which is a term that's pretty common in filmmaking now. Basically, it just means you're using digital models and animation to block out all of your scenes so that you're not needing to like bring in actors to like stand around while you're blocking your scenes for you. So like they're able to plan out the movie much more meticulously.
My understanding is it's like a step beyond storyboards.
Yeah, exactly. It's very high-tech storyboarding, but like you can manipulate your little figures and kind of move them around and kind of play around with the different ideas and basically make the whole movie before you make the movie.
Yeah, you can do all of this stuff without spending, a couple million a day.
Yeah, exactly.
With your top actors and actresses and craft services and literally everyone involved.
Spielberg and Cruise both took like significant pay cuts, and they just took like points on the back end for this movie, which is what Spielberg does for all of his movies. He hasn't taken a salary in like 30 years, but he just he's like, I want 15% of whatever the gross is going to be, and then he just makes the highest grossing films of all time, which is a great plan.
What a baller move.
If you're going to do that, might as well make the highest grossing films of all time.
It's one thing to be like, no, this is how I'm getting paid out of it. And it's another thing to be like, no, this I'm getting paid out of it. And also, you're going to regret this.
Totally, yeah.
So I think this movie, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I do think so I'm going to talk about some of the negatives first. And
okay.
The negative that I think is that, it is a film noir.
Yeah.
But there are criticisms of film noir because they get a little convoluted. So I do think there are sometimes the story is going so fast that it's a little bit like, he didn't kill my child. He was a setup. He killed my child.
Yeah.
Very film noir. But him having to go and talk to the plant lady and the pace was so fast that it didn't get bogged down in those things.
No.
But it is a weakness of traditional film noir that I do recognize in this movie. But it's just it's still fun though.
Can I point out a really big plot issue?
Yeah.
So, for those who haven't seen the movie, we're obviously going to do some spoilers here. So the whole gist of the
what
movie.
What was that about?
What?
Of course we're going to do spoilers.
He's like, I just work here. Leave me alone. The whole point of the movie is that the guy who kind of helped create this and pioneer this technology, and he runs the department basically, is trying to cover up the fact that it's maybe not 100% reliable, and that he, in order to get it to be this big, he had to kill somebody in order to make things situate.
Yeah.
But he's essentially framing Tom Cruise. Well, once Tom Cruise starts figuring out John. Once John starts
Anderson.
getting close to the truth, he starts pitting people against, trying to get him killed and stuff.
Yeah.
And he sets him up for a murder, and it happens, but it ended up being an accident and not an on-purpose kill. And they confiscate the gun. It's left at the scene. And then that gun is used by big guy to kill other guy. And they pin that crime on the person who left the gun behind and has not been in possession of the gun. The police had the gun.
Yes.
Why did nobody think of this?
And he killed the lady first because she wanted her daughter, not because pre-crime wasn't working.
Yes.
Well, and we should clarify for those who don't know what the basic premise of this movie is and why I think this twist is really cool and really works. Is the entire premise of this movie is based on this idea of pre-crime, right? They've developed this new technology based on the culmination of these three psychic children who can see the future, and then they created this whole police division that's basically going to go in and arrest you for crimes that you're thinking about doing.
But their claim is that it has been definitively predicted that you are going to commit this crime.
And that's kind of the central argument of the novella and of the movie. The central kind of philosophical argument is it fate or is it predestination?
They really set this up very quickly, and for me, having no idea what this was about, very quickly was pushing on the ooh. So they're arresting people for things they haven't done yet because they think they're going to do them. At what point is this faulty? At what point is this?
Exactly.
Where's the line here?
It's the big question kind of at the center of all of it. It's also the idea of is it worth our safety if we're sacrificing our free will?
The question is that my question is, why don't you just stop the murder and then have the have the person put in
like rehab or
mental health institution.
Instead, we're going to put them in, I think, VR land and keep them in
They
prison.
call it a halo. They put a little like VR. They put a little like headband on them, and it basically just zaps their brain, and they become docile. And
is it like it fills their brain with good emotions, and they don't.
And there's
feel...
there's no trial.
Yeah,
no trial.
No trial at all.
The trial is legitimately a judge, and I think someone else, I know someone else, but I don't remember what they were, watches the police officer review the premonitions and pick data out, pick information of like trying to figure out like, oh, these trees are located in this area.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a newspaper here, so now we kind of know what city they're in because we know where this newspaper is distributed.
And all
of this together to try to figure out when, where, and how this is going to happen. The trial is the judge watching this.
Basically, yeah.
There's no like post-arrest trial. The trial is done before the police are dispatched.
Yeah. That's what's kind of I think that's one of the things that sets this movie apart is that incredibly elegant opening 15 minutes where all of the rules of this world are explained in a thrilling, exciting, like high tense sequence. You get the visual shorthand for how he works the computer, which was kind of made fun of at the time, but his idea of like twisting his hands and like swiping
Little
left
did
and
they
right,
know
like,
the Xbox Kinect was around the corner.
Exactly. He's kind of like doing this sort of like interpretive
years,
dance on this screen. So people were kind of making fun of that a lot. But this opening sequence is so tight and so good.
It's really good.
We see just enough of this world to know that this guy is about to commit a murder. All right. He suspects his wife is cheating on him. She is. He's about to catch them in the act, and he's going to like snap and take his revenge. And so we have a ticking clock. We know what the rules are. We even get, like you said, we see the judge, we see a lawyer, so we get a little bit of the bureaucracy of how this happens. We see that Anderton is like the best in the biz at what he's doing, and we see that he's got this whole support team. So really elegant way of just explaining the whole movie and kind of like getting you up to speed in 15 minutes of visual storytelling.
They also do a pretty good job of only explaining things when it would kind of genuinely make sense to be explained. And so they introduce a character who's auditing the. I think is he a lawyer or is he
is
actually
the Colin Farrell character?
Like FBI,
yeah. Colin Farrell's playing a character. He's kind of like an ambitious, like young bureaucrat who's like kind of coming for Tom Cruise's job a little bit, or maybe he wants, he's kind of an unctuous guy
set up
that
as the antagonist.
Yeah,
that isn't.
I don't think he's the antagonist at all. I think he's the sit-in for the audience because we're all like, "What the fuck? This is weird."
He does have an antagonistic relationship to Cruise. I think most of the
he should be because it's fucked up.
I think antagonist is the wrong word, but he is an antagonizer.
Well, and he's
definitely pit against, and we assume it's going to be much more of a Tom Cruise versus Colin Farrell, and it turns into Colin Farrell is figuring this out as it goes on, and so is John, and they both kind of come to the same conclusions.
Colin Farrell is really smart casting in this movie. We covered it a little bit when we talked about the movie The Recruit, which you both definitely fully remember that we covered, and I certainly remember we covered. But Colin Farrell at this point in his career, like he was kind of one of those like movie stars who was a little bit being like forced on us. By 2002, like he had already been branded, this is the next Tom Cruise. This is the next big movie star. So casting him as sort of like a younger, hungrier version of Tom Cruise is like very intentional in playing off of both of their like personas.
So it's really interesting because I feel like Colin Farrell is better at being just a weird little man. Like,
Which
I feel
he
like
locked
his strongest,
into. Yeah.
His strongest roles are like just him playing weird little men.
This is his best role in a movie like from this early movie star era. Like he kind of flamed out with things like Alexander and stuff like that. And then 2008, he does it in Bruges and kind of finds his rhythm. And now, yeah, exactly. He's a weird little guy. He's still an incredibly handsome guy. But
he's very handsome and he's actually quite tall. But like,
but he's allowed to play like his anxiety. He's allowed to play like his quirkiness a little bit. And also in his personal life, that was around the time he got
of Inisherin?
One of my favorite movies of the last decade.
I need to.
I love that movie so much.
I wanted to see it so much, but I was just not in a frame of mind to go to the movie theater.
He's incredible in it, and I think that kind of unlocked him. Like him getting sober in the mid 2000s. He was famously kind of like a tabloid drunk, and like he was a womanizer. And he was being with all these drugs and all these women, and people were like sick of his shit. And then he got sober and he started like proving what a good actor he is. And he also has the reputation of just like one of the genuinely nicest people in the film industry. Like he's really easy to work with and has no ego about anything. So yeah, he figured his shit out, and now he's like one of my very favorite actors.
And in this movie, he plays that character almost perfectly.
He's smack in the middle of that run. This is the middle of the punchable face run that I'm talking about, and that's why we want to root against him right at the beginning.
See, I think that's really interesting because, like, I locked in on him as being the sort of the hero of the story.
Interesting, yeah.
Because
I think I also came from a more anti-cop where I'm like, he's definitely the antagonist of our protagonist, but also he is the more likable person unless John changes from what he learns.
He's like the internal affairs. He's trying to hold the cops to accountability. Yeah. And that's the whole point, is that you want cops to be held accountable. And so that's why I feel like he is like the more of a protagonist, because he uncovers the murder way before John Anderton done, because John Anderton buys into the system so much harder.
And now that's apparent. This was like immediately post 9/11, and we were still very much in a like law enforcement are the heroes, period, no ambiguity about that. So we were kind of coded to root for Anderton.
It's also such a smart way to get some of that world building that is directly necessary out there, because we see the time cops, the pre-cops in their action, in their element, and then we see this young upstart come in and start shaking the tree, and we can tell that he's not sold on this. He's like, this is a little weird.
Well,
there's got to be problems here somewhere.
There's obviously problems because they're basically enslaving 3 people.
Yeah, and like he's demanding to see them. He's got warrants and all of this, and it's a very good way for somebody to be explaining things without us feeling like we're being beaten over the head with it.
Yeah,
because
it's a pretty standard procedure is to always bring someone in who's new. That's old. That's an old filmmaking technique.
And making him actually be a useful person.
Well, and he's a full-fledged character. Like,
he is, yeah.
But it's really interesting because there's these this sad it's very modern film noir to have a cop whose child is dead.
His child is dead. Now, my big flaw of this movie is that I do not believe for one second that any iteration of Tom Cruise is a drug addict. I don't know, at least not not in the way that he's being depicted here. Like, they're inventing a new future drug, which I love. I love anytime you invent a future drug.
He's hitting memories.
It's called Neuroin, which is just a great name for it. And, he's going home after a hard day of, like, solving pre-murders, and he's doing Neuroin, and he's watching videos of his child who was kidnapped, which is kind of a more, in a way, it's like a more upsetting trope than just a dead child, like we've seen the dead child trope a lot recently with like Stargate and a couple of other things like that, where it's just kind of bleak and hopeless. The kidnapped child thing it plays an interesting role in the plot of this movie, but it also he has a reason to keep going because there's a glimmer that this kid might still be alive, that he might be able to find him, that he might be able to solve what he did or undo what he did or fix his mistake. Also, as we see in the course of the movie, he didn't really make a mistake. Like, his one mistake is that he took his eye off his child for 5 seconds, which is a thing most parents have done.
At a swimming pool, and there was people around, and they never fully explained what happened, but it's like, that absolutely is the worst luck ever.
And that's the trauma that we get that informs Tom Cruise's character, but again, all of this is done so efficiently and so quickly. All of this stuff is done by like the 30-minute mark, and then it just kicks off a chase movie, a fantastic long chase.
It's a long chase movie, and it's interesting that you said about him being a drug addict, because I feel like they gloss over it a lot. Like
it doesn't play a big part.
It doesn't play a big part, other than Colin Farrell's character like being all like, "You're done, man," and being like, so it's basically it's sort of like a red herring, but it's also like, I don't know. It's really interesting. I think it's just sort of trying to show. Well, I don't think it has texture. I think it's sort of like an exploitation of addiction.
Yeah.
Because they're making it, because like if he was really addicted, he'd have like, withdrawal symptoms and things like that while he's going on the chase. Like if you've played a video game and you ever got addicted to something,
Well, he gets some.
Yeah.
During. And so he continuously uses it throughout the movie.
Yeah, but there's never any negative side effects to this drug.
Yeah.
Not really. And he's not like, there's never a point like when he's on the run or something and is jonesing, like, so it is kind of like a throwaway element. And I think a lot of it is just introduced so they can make his character a little less reliable when he claims that he didn't do the murder.
Tradition is that we have an alcoholic cop and we don't want to do that. We want to do something that is similar level of impact without it being that. Like, we don't want it to be a debilitating issue. We just want it to be something that we can point to and say, yeah, other people are looking down on him because he did this. Whereas it's not like actually affecting the movie or the plot or the character themselves
but
that much.
The big reveal early in the movie that kind of incites everything is that Precog has a vision that John kills somebody, a guy named Leo Crow. He sees a vision that he kills somebody, and Tom Cruise decides to run away instead of facing justice, which is, it's an interesting concept for a lot of reasons, because it's like, here's a character who's his whole job is to believe in this system that says this person is going to be a murderer at this time and you need to stop it. But when he's faced with it himself, he's like, nope, the system must be wrong because there's no way says, I would do this.
The tagline of "They always run."
Yes.
The catalyst for this is that on just a relatively routine-esque moment, he gets they're basically like semi-comatose precognitive people in like a milk pool. One of them becomes relatively conscious, grabs onto him, shows him a memory on the big screen, and then talks to him. And that memory is the key to uncovering the mystery of her mother being killed, so that they could essentially abduct her and use her for the program.
The precog performances are so cool. Like Samantha Morton plays Agatha. She is unbelievable. The moment in this where she screams is like chills. It's like every time I watch it, because she's going from like whisper to like full bore terror scream, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's amazing.
It's so, and like it was really interesting to see like the whole scene with the precog helping Tom Cruise escape the precog cops. Because they were just like, it was so cool. It was such a really awesome chase scene with the umbrellas and
it's Tom Cruise is like guiding her, like basically pulling her along because she's been in a pool, she can't really walk very well, and she's just like grab that umbrella, throw change at that guy,
stand still, wait for the balloons, and he
stand
just has
still,
to stand there knowing all these people are chasing him and just believe that the balloons are going to block him.
He has no idea what the reasoning is. He just is like, I've been trusting literally your visions my entire last stint, like 6 years of his career, that he had been fully bought in on this.
So you have all these like fun, like these are all just kind of like the plot trappings that kind of drive things forward.
The way that it's set up is you have this moment where the precognitive like pulls him aside and like puts him on the trail of figuring out what happened. And at no point do you fully understand what's happening, because he does like a little bit of investigating and he's like, oh, okay, there's some weirdness going on here. And then like immediately he's hit with, oh, we've preconceived you of killing somebody.
Right.
And it's, you don't really put it together until much later that it's because somebody caught on that he was catching on and set him up by hiring somebody to essentially death by cop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, all of this is kind of just like the plot structure that kind of keeps things going. I think part of what makes this movie sort of stand out for me and makes it unique as like a Spielberg film and as like just kind of an underappreciated like sci-fi movie is that this movie gets a little freaky in some weird places.
Like I love the eye thing.
Peter Stormare, yeah.
It also doesn't make sense that this guy was put away by this guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'll do a good job surgery, and I'll just fuck off." But it's so stressful when he's talking about like what he's doing to him, and then he's like, "Yeah," and he doesn't know whether or not he's going to survive the surgery because this guy is like. A very bad man.
Yeah, it's great. Like I just love the idea of him needing to go and buy black market organs so that he can continue to conceal his identity.
Did you ever watch Repo, the genetic opera?
I hate that movie. Everybody always people keep trying to defend that movie to me.
I think I defend it, and I like the idea. Like I do see like a world where like people might be putting organs on layaway.
Sure.
I know nothing about this, so I'm piecing things together as you go.
It's a musical about organ stealing.
It's a musical.
Get in. You have to get on the mic if you want to weigh in.
Anthony Stewart Head is super hot in it.
That's a problem.
He's really
Who's
hot.
Anthony Stewart?
He's Giles on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he can
Boy,
sing.
have I seen.
He can sing.
That.
He can sing really well. But anyway, I wanted to bring to the point that this is like the Repo the Genetic Opera. Also, there was also 2 movies with the exact same premise. Oh God, what were the movies named?
Of Repo?
Yeah, Repo.
You're thinking of Repo Man. Repo Man, yeah, with Forrest Whitaker and Jude Law. Yeah. Which is different from Repo Man, the Emilio Estevez
but like
movie.
in this story, there's like people that you have to get eyes, and that's. To have a different identity.
That's where that's like a lot of the fun stuff. And then there's a lot of like actually funny stuff in this movie. I think a lot of the action sequences are really fun. Like because the fun tension of this movie, I keep saying fun, is that the people that are pursuing him are his friends. They don't want to hurt him. He doesn't want to hurt them. So it puts him in the position of, I'm going to fight for my life and get away from these guys, but I'm also going to check in on them to make sure they've got a good grip on the railing before I let them go.
And on top of this, he's top of the class.
Yeah.
Like he is able to outmatch each and every one of them.
He is
and
the A-game.
He's Tom Cruise.
He could be breaking legs. He could be, because essentially his reluctance to hurt them, his lack of desire to hurt them, means that they keep coming back.
Yeah.
Because they're still hunting for him. He just knocked them down and maybe broke their jetpack or whatever, and they just, recoup and come back in an hour or 2.
And the whole point is that he needs to prove that he's not a murderer, so he can't hurt these guys. It's kind of the same tension at the center of a movie I really like from the late 90s called The Negotiator, Samuel L. Jackson, where he needs to dispel this murder charge that's against him, but he also needs to do it without hurting anybody that's on his side, because that'll just validate their point. So it's a fun dynamic to play with, and I think this movie really goes for it.
Especially in, like you said, a futuristic city where we have all this technology. Eyes are being scanned. Every place you go, you are being identified and targeted with ads and stuff, and it is part of the government surveillance network.
I'm not conspiracy minded, but I have started to fully believe that my phone can read my thoughts. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with my technology, because I keep getting targeted ads for things that I've only thought about and haven't even discussed. So
I get targeted ads for work stuff on my personal devices, and I'm like, guys,
they know where you are.
They know where I live.
Yeah.
So at least they know digitally where I live.
Yeah. But this movie, I think, just has that kind of like grade A Spielberg magic, and I think this was an era of Spielberg where I think people were sort of, maybe not over him entirely, but they were sort of taking him for granted. Like, AI was a bit of a flop. We've come to realize that movie's incredible. Like, I think that movie fucking rules, but it was not well liked at the time because it's dark and it's weird. This is the first movie he's doing right on the heels of that. And then we just got kind of a run of like smaller movies for him.
Well, and it has so much of the sci-fi in this world is actually interesting and fun.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different sci-fi worlds and that don't feel lived in, or they don't feel like prescient in relation to the story. But like, for example, the spiders, the fact that they're like basically violating everyone's civil human rights by by having these spiders, and like some people are so used to it that they're like having a fight and then scanned and then going back to the fight, while other people are still fighting.
They're so used to having their liberties like taken away from them. They do such a good job of painting this dystopian world ultimately, and there's so many parts. They also do. There's a problem that I have with a lot of like clean sci-fi movies where everything is too clean.
Sure,
there is so much dirt and grime in this movie. Like at the beginning, everything is nice and clean. His home is a little cluttered, and that's the extent of it. And then very quickly, you're like, oh no, we're in like the seedy underworld. We're in a place where people don't clean.
And this movie does
people aren't cleaning the hallways. People aren't cleaning the bathtubs. People aren't cleaning anything around here.
Well, this movie has kind of a cold look to it too, which was pretty groundbreaking at the time. I think this sort of like blue sci-fi filter that they use has been this blue sci-fi filter has been used maybe too much.
Too much now. Like I was watching it. I was like, oh, not the blue filter, but it really fits.
But this
movie.
is where it kind of starts.
This is where it starts.
Yeah. This is the beginning of that, and it's really well suited to this movie, which I think has generally aged really well. Like the special effects look really good.
Yeah, we talk about them often. ILM helped with this as well.
ILM rules.
And this was this DreamWorks?
Yeah, DreamWorks and Universal.
They have their people too. So they did such a good job of making a world where very little, because it's set in 2054.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of the amount of leap that they took was about the right amount of leap. They didn't go too far. They didn't go too short. And everything just looks. I don't think there was much. I think the worst effect in the entire movie was like the face droopy thing.
Oh, I thought that face
droopy thing was pretty good. Yeah,
I didn't think it looked that good.
Oh, I thought it wasn't. I liked it also too, just because that's more of the weird freak shit.
The concept of it was very fun.
I love the idea of Tom Cruise is trying to sneak in somewhere and his face is melting off.
It wasn't horrible, but everything else was also good.
Yeah,
when you're pointing out the one outlier that is not that far of an outlier.
Yeah,
it's still they did such a good job of between the colors and the grainy and then like all that stuff. Everything just looks good. They have a sweet Lexus commercial.
Right. Yeah. Which I think Lexus probably really did pay. I mean, I want to talk about the game, but I guess real quick, I just want to ask the central question of this movie of you guys. What do you think? Free will or determinism? Are we always going to do what we've
never understood I understand the concept of determinism, and it has never in any way resonated with me.
Okay.
I've never been able to buy in even the smallest amount.
So everything's random, and we're making our choices, and the way that they end up is
too much butterfly effecty stuff is going on. Everything is being affected by everything, and it's almost if you can determine that, then play the lottery.
Fair. Jabin, where do you come down?
What was the question again?
Free will versus determinism. Do you think we can make our own choices, or do you think it's all predestined for us?
I think we can definitely make our own choices, and I feel like that's generally the backbone of society. However, I do think it'd be interesting because, we talk about science fiction and we talk about time travel, and it's so interesting because there's that's the basic premise of almost all time travel is whether or not you traveling to the past would affect the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When it inevitably would. So it seems that there have to be multiverses. There have to be so much to do it. But at the same time, I think when push comes to shove, there is no time travel other than forward into the future.
Yeah.
And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. At the same time, I do think that there is some interesting work to be done on if you abuse a woman, you're more likely to murder her. And so like there's definitely some things that they could be they could do,
biases and predispositions.
Well, yeah, and they can take things seriously.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you talk about sort of precog, it's not so much precog, but like actually looking at people and the crimes that they commit and the time that they commit and having a more egalitarian justice system.
Yeah, and it's something that is, I think, has always been present, and I think it's been coming up a lot lately, which is like we can look at what people have done and get an idea of like, oh, okay, maybe this is a person that needs to be looked in on. Maybe this is a person that, because they've done, violent crimes against partners or whatever, there should be some level of like, if you're going to buy a gun, you need to take tests. We need to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
But ultimately I think that, yeah, if anything close to determinism exists, it exists in a weird multiversal way.
Yeah.
Because there's just too much stuff going on, too many things that are happening, and if everything is predetermined, then...
What about you, Steve-O?
I'm one of those people who fully believes like in free will and that our own choices make our own things. And that being said, I still take comfort in the thought, well, I'm where I was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll think that thought every once in a while. I'll just be like, you know what? This is where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the process of a divine creator or anything, but sometimes if I just give myself that little bit of calm and just say, look, this is where I am, this is where I was headed, this is these are the machinations that kind of got me to where I got. It makes me feel a little better sometimes when not everything's working out.
And not to turn this into the philosophy podcast.
That's what we're here for.
I feel like, in my opinion, like I agree that there is that concept, like you are where you should be, but I think that is guided by your actions and the actions of the things around you, because presumably most people gravitate towards a situation where they're pushing towards things that they like and where they want to be, and they're pushing towards people that they want around them that also want that for them as well.
Yeah. And
that we help make our places and help make our way to where we need to be and where we should be.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't look back. We shouldn't put too much stock and value into the actions of the past unless we're doing it to help us inform our futures.
Yeah.
Because if we look back on it, and I think everybody in the world is guilty of looking back on things and feeling sad or wishing they'd made different decisions, but you didn't. This is where you are where you are where presumably you should be, to keep going where you should go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question. I think the sort of magic trick that this movie pulls off is that it leaves you with questions like that while also feeling like you've just been given a really entertaining sci-fi action movie with movie stars.
A chase movie.
It's not an empty-headed movie. It's really well constructed. You feel like you just, I don't know. I come away from this movie feeling full. I feel like so satisfied.
I feel like
movie.
So like you've talked a little bit about it, but like the action is really interesting.
Yeah.
They use weapons that are non-lethal weapons, like the six stick.
Yeah.
And like this other one that sort of like hits you with a force field.
Like a little stun, like a sonic stun gun.
Sonic stun gun.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to see the way that they fight and to see how Tom Cruise's character Anderton is so much better than everyone else.
Well,
and I feel like
shocking that he would choose to play a character that way.
Yeah, but like I feel like I watch a lot of like kung fu and a lot of like action movies where it definitely feels like the main character is like being let go basically because he's like clearly not got the body movement that the stunt doubles have and or the people have, and you're just like, everyone's like, oh, I'm just like that whole trope of being all like, oh, smack, I'm dead, I'm unconscious because you touched me lightly,
right?
And like I really love the physical, like Tom Cruise is a genius physical actor. I really do think that Adam Driver is probably going to be his successor to the physical aspect of acting.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I feel like he's more reserved. He's more implosive.
No, in the last what is it? Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like he says like 18 words throughout the movie, but he just acts so well with his body that he's like, that he's like out of control and then under control. Like, I don't know. I really was impressed with his physical acting, and I really do feel like so few actors nowadays, like maybe Connor Story as well from A Heated Rivalry is also a very like physical actor, and like I really like it's one of the things that I think is very underutilized in modern direction.
Yeah,
especially if you're gonna make an action movie. So often, especially in modern times, do we get action movies that really just kind of disappear because somebody got cast that's kind of on the up and up, but they can't really do action that well, and you have to use your body, you have to use your face, you have to use your neck, you have to use your arms and your hand. Everything has to be a cohesive piece to make action scenes look good, and if the only person is the stunt actors that are able to do it, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise famously does like legitimately everything he possibly can.
Yeah.
Stunt wise. And so you get this like constant cohesion, and you at no point are you like, is that the same guy? Like what was the Marvel Netflix show Iron Fist or whatever?
Yeah.
Where it was like the first season the lead didn't really know how to do most of the fight scenes.
Yeah.
So it was either a really lame scene or it was clearly a stunt double.
Right. Yeah. And that always kind of like matter. Yeah, it matters. It eventually kind of became Tom Cruise's shtick that like part of why we're buying the ticket is where we're watching the biggest movie star in the world do something that should likely kill him. And so that sort of, we'll get into that more when we talk about the Mission Impossible movies, but like it became sort of his stock and trade, but there is value in that.
I don't know if it's just because I don't watch enough movies, but I feel like there's not enough action movies that also say something or do something.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah.
So much like action fodder, but there's not a lot of like big budget stuff. But there's not a lot of like introspective or retrospective.
I mean, something recently that came out within the last couple of years that I thought was a really great action movie was Monkey King. With Dev Patel.
Monkey Man.
Monkey Man.
Monkey
Sorry.
Man. Yeah.
I don't know why I said Monkey King.
That's all right. Yeah.
Monkey Man.
Yeah, which he also directed. Yeah.
Which he directed. And like the physical, it's a lot like a John Wick movie.
Yeah.
In the physicality, but it also like it's telling a story. So I think that's a huge suggestion for like something that I really enjoyed.
Speaking of hot Ben, right? Yeah, come on, Dev Patel in that movie, you're good. I haven't even seen the movie. I've just seen the trailer.
He should be James Bond. Like like Dave Patel. If Idris Elba can't be James Bond because he's too old now, which I think is insane.
Yeah.
But Dave Patel, 100%.
Yeah.
He's so charming.
Yeah. I think he could pull it off.
Well, let's move on to talking about the Minority Report game.
Damn, he is only 36.
I know, it's irritating. Let's talk about a little. One last thing about Minority Report. This was a decent sized hit, but it was not actually as big as they thought it was. I mostly remember the opening weekend of this movie. This came in number 2. It was a dead heat, but it came in number 2 to Lilo and Stitch, which we've covered in the past.
I remember that movie.
Right. And so there was kind of conversation of like, oh shit, is Spielberg cooked? Is Tom Cruise cooked? Like they're losing to this little animated guy. The movie wound up doing fine. It was like 10th highest grossing of the year. And its legacy has kind of only grown.
And I feel like this is that type of movie.
It is.
Like this is the type of movie. I feel like movies like this don't often hit gangbusters, but they last. People watch them and like, oh, this meant something. This was something.
Didn't like 4 million DVDs it sold or something like that?
Something. It did really well on DVD.
It was one of the few DVD. Like this was the first time that Spielberg allowed a film person to film the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so we get a lot.
I mean, this is peak DVD era.
Yeah, peak DVD era.
And it, of course, inspired. This is also peak video game adaptation era. I think in these 5-6 years post GoldenEye, it wasn't just like a default that if you make a movie you're getting a game. Now it's a AAA. Now it's a process.
Yeah, video games had legitimized themselves and especially licensed video games to the point of where studios that were capable were doing it, and not just a team of like 6 guys that were doing this for as cheaply as possible just to make some money.
Exactly. This is not like one guy working on E.T. for a month and then them releasing it and just calling it a day. No, this game is called...
These are the guys who made Spider-Man 2, which I loved as a kid.
This game is called Minority Report Everybody Runs. That's the full title of it. It was released November 19th, 2002. It's developed by Treyarch, published by Activision. It was released on Xbox, PS2, and there's a GBA adaptation as well. Now, like we mentioned, Treyarch and Activision, these are the team that worked on Spider-Man 2.
And
we have not covered it yet, but that's generally considered by people who would listen to our show as one of the best video game adaptations ever. Spider-Man 2 kind of laid the groundwork for what
up there.
Spider-Man games are to this day, and it's quite good.
But it's also important because they also are massive with Call of Duty. They've
pretty much just transitioned to being Call of Duty guys now.
For a while, it was them and Infinity Ward tag teaming. They would alternate Call of Duty games, and both of them were able to create very fun and distinct Call of Duty games.
So this was the era when they were putting a little bit more money, a little bit more production value, and they were even kind of rolling out some new technology. This game was experimenting with like some new ragdoll physics engines to kind of like depict the way that enemies collapse. So a couple times in this game, you'll punch somebody, they'll fall over a railing, and they'll drape over the railing in a realistic way and fall to the ground. That was kind of the big push of this one. But like,
loved when we started doing it.
Oh, it's the best.
Much, and we don't do it enough.
Yeah, but then this one, you get leg swept and your legs act like they don't work anymore.
There's one guy on the 4th level that kicked our asses.
We'll get to that. I just want to preface a little bit, like, and this has been true of the last couple of Tom Cruise games that we played. Tom Cruise does not lend his likeness to movies. And in this case, they take it to the point where they cast a blonde, 6-foot-tall, hulking like Superman played by Clancy Brown, who we've covered many times. He's, of course, from Highlander, from Shawshank Redemption. He's Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. He's just got one of the all-time great
Who is he in
voices.
Shawshank?
He's the mean guard. He's like the scariest guard in Shawshank that they like bribe. He gives them the beer to like do their taxes. Like, yeah. That's him. That's kind of.
I saw this movie for I think once only. I think we saw it a bunch of times that weekend because we just kept watching it on DVD.
Great movie.
But it was like 2010.
Hot take. Shawshank Redemption. Pretty good movie.
Right. Good movie.
You would like Jay,
watch it again.
I mean, this is open to both of you, but I think this is more of a J-Bang question. Have you seen Carnival, the HBO show?
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, incredible on that show. He's like the evil preacher, like unbelievable. I mean, that's a really kind of interesting failed show, but yeah.
I feel like we talked about him a bit during like the Highlander episode and stuff.
Yeah, he's the Kurgan in Highlander.
Yeah, he's a
great.
solid actor that I honestly think didn't like. He had a career. Like he
still does. Yeah,
fully has made money and is still making money.
Yeah,
great. But I still feel like he should have had some higher billings throughout his career.
I think he deserves a little bit more name recognition, but he's stepping in here for Tom, and they could not be more physically different. Like the character model that they use for Anderton in this looks more like the Neil McDonough character in the movie, who is like the chief of his like police force and kind of the guy who's pursuing him the most. But he's got the same like platinum blonde and like the blue eyes and the steel jaw. Like he's got that kind of look. And they flip the characters in this, and it's just because he doesn't want to lend his likeness, and that's fine. I get it. As far as the game itself, I played this. I rented this when it came out, and I remember me and my friends like didn't have the highest expectations for it, but we wound up playing it most of the night. Like we sort of just got into it and got like excited by the idea of trying to progress through it. So I played this for a decent amount. I think playing it now, it's maybe a little tedious.
It doesn't hold up as well.
It's got some stuff, and I think it generally looks and plays pretty cleanly.
Yeah.
it's just kind of boring, right? J-Ben, was that your experience with this one?
Well, I like a beat 'em up as much as the next person, so I did enjoy beating people up.
You do beat 'em up
in this show. I did think that it was definitely once we got to the 4th level with this boss that we couldn't beat, it just feels like the only way to beat him is to not have Justin be the first round.
Yeah,
because
using all of our shotgun charges.
I like the shotgun. Okay, you give me gun, I shoot, I go blast, and then we go forward.
I didn't get to shoot a single gun because you used all the ammunition.
You had it at one point, and I said, "Oh, you have the gun now," and then you didn't use it.
It was one shot.
It's also a little hard to
one chance.
It's not
one
like
opportunity. Or
it's not the most intuitive gun to use in terms of video game guns. You have to hold the trigger all the way down and then press the X button to fire.
And then we didn't learn about it until we were getting our ass kicked by this guy. And we were just in a loop of getting our ass kicked by this guy. But
the game spamming us. He was just continuously doing a leg sweep over and over and over again until you're dead.
I immediately started to recognize what my cousin felt whenever we played fighting games, and I would do the stupidest repeatable move to win.
Yeah.
But we learned that there's like an actual like upgrade system in the game where you are finding money around the levels, which we weren't really trying to do up front. And then you use that to unlock new combos, more health or whatever.
Which did not feel very responsive when we tried to like actually implement the new combos.
I'm not sure if it's because that boss in particular is just intended to be very difficult, or if they just don't work very well. But unfortunately, he's the only person we could fight them with.
And we looked ahead a little bit in some video, and like I said, I've played this game before, but there are like some jetpack sequences where you can like fly around a little bit, but even those are fairly limited. Most of what you're doing here is in service of the action. Now, you do get to use the weapons from the movie, which is fun. You get the sonic cannon, you get the 6-stick. This game really like gets to have its cake and eat it too by like
getting the ammo is very rare.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They're not generous with the ammo.
And it gets to do that video game thing of like you're mowing down crowds and crowds of people, but it's all non-lethal stuff, and so you're not actually killing anybody.
Yeah, and it looked like it's about 3.5, 4 hours long, and it just feels a little samey throughout.
Yeah, I could see it. I think, you max out a lot on what this game can do pretty early on, and ultimately the Minority Report license doesn't really have too terribly much impact on the gameplay here.
There's not that much sci-fi world building, and I think that's where this game sort of dropped the ball, because they could have done some really interesting weird stuff with the settings, but it was like very generic subway, very generic office building, like everything was super generic.
Visually, this was reminding me a lot of the game version of The Thing, which came out around the same era, and that's a game where like the central conceits of the movie are central to the gameplay experience, right? Like you can have a squad member that could be a thing at any time. Like you need to like fight the thing using the weapons that he's vulnerable to.
That was such a good game.
It's really good. I went back and finished it. Did I tell you?
No,
they did a remastered version that's really, really good. Yeah, I played it all the way through.
It looks very faithful to the original.
It's solid. It's really fun. But this game doesn't really borrow much from the movie other than the weapons, the jetpack, and the fact that you punch people from time to time.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on, we're talking about the movie, that the script went through a few rewrites, and it feels like it might, like the Wikipedia article has like some information on like one of the other ones.
Yeah.
And it vaguely feels closer to one of the other variants of the script.
Which I wouldn't be
But
surprised.
it's also not that close to it either.
Yeah, and in our research, it was really funny that they actually made a theatrical production of Minority Report,
for a stage play, like a stage play. Yeah,
and I'm just like, it seems like the wildest thing that they could like. I don't know how you do that like on stage.
There was a 1-season TV show as well that was on Fox that didn't last very long. That was
like 2012,
2015,
like that.
Around there. Yeah, mid 2010s. So like there have been efforts to keep this sort of property alive, but I don't think this is a franchise in the way that like Blade Runner kind of proved to be a franchise, at least a little bit, or like other things in this universe proved to be a franchise, and that's okay. Like it really does not need to be.
So
I love this as a product.
So many people need to get over the fact that not everything needs to be a goddamn franchise.
Speaking of not a franchise, like at least not yet. I don't know when this movie's coming out, probably like in a month or
towards
something.
the end of the
but you should go see Sheep Detective.
Fair enough. I want to check it out.
I don't want to promote this movie because like there's so few original movies coming out there, and then you have an original murder mystery comedy.
Who was
It was written by Craig Mazin.
There was an actor that somebody had said the name of. That
Hugh
was
Jackman.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman's
and I was
the human
like,
lead
okay.
of that
his
movie,
largest it's his largest box office of a non-Marvel character, which is really interesting.
Really?
Like even bigger than
Greatest Showman.
No,
Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman was a shower, not a was a grower, not a like.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or are we saying?
Greatest Showman only made like $8 million the first opening weekend.
Well, yeah, but no, I thought we were talking like total. Like
No,
totally
just
wound
open
up being
window.
close to
Yeah.
like 300 million.
Yeah,
It's huge.
because it's got legs, and I do think Sheep Detective has 4 legs.
We'll see. This movie only made 15 million opening weekend.
Was
I don't know.
oh.
It's probably not an expensive film.
Oh,
but-
The Prestige did not do as well as I would have thought. I love them.
Yeah. No, The Prestige was not. Yeah, it wasn't super huge, but that's very good. We're talking about Jackman movies, so we are off the Minority Report
There was
train.
something that I wanted to touch back onto, and fuck me if I can't remember what it was, but I felt really strongly about it at the time.
You felt really strongly about it?
Before we started talking about Sheep Detective, what did we say?
We were talking about the movie Minority Report from 2002.
God, he was directed.
Video game. Okay, this is bad.
How did
That's okay.
How did we segue into?
Let's not
Sheep
worry
Detective?
about it
Okay.
either way. I think we can kind of wrap up here because, let's save our thoughts for right now. Let's talk about our final thoughts on Minority Report. Is this a good movie, good game, bad movie, bad game, or some mixture in between? J-Ben, why don't you start us off? Where are we coming
I think this is a great sci-fi movie, and I love sci-fi movies, so I feel I have this really strong soft spot for it. But it's not one of my all-time favorites because like it didn't touch my heart the way like Blade Runner did.
Sure.
So I think this is an excellent movie, and then the video game is a good old-fashioned punch 'em up, and it's good.
It's all right.
Like considering a lot of what we play, like it'll keep you entertained.
Yeah.
I now remember what I was going to say, and it's a quick thing. For this movie not really being like a huge franchise, I have heard this movie referenced so many times, and I've never once understood any of the references.
Well, it's become because
this is not a concept I would have intuited from whatever those references were.
Well, it's like a Sliding Doors situation, right? Sliding Doors is a movie not a lot of people saw, but people know what that means. If you say Sliding Doors, it means it's an alternate universe, right? Like,
I did not know
you
that.
make one decision at a certain crucial point, and you get 2 different timelines that branch off and do its own thing.
Like Loki.
Like Loki, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie, and like I said, like when you start watching this movie, you're like, oh, this is an early 2000s movie.
Very much.
And not in ways that are necessarily bad. They do a pretty good job of keeping it pretty chill, and it doesn't feel dated. Still a pretty solid, if not great watch now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thinking to do, a lot of questions that are asked and slightly answered. They kind of let you make your own decisions on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate about movies, and we should do that more often.
Absolutely.
And the game was okay.
Yeah. I love this movie. I think it's so underappreciated. I think it's aging beautifully. I think in a couple of years, people are going to come around on this as one of the great modern sci-fi movies. So I'm hoping to keep that conversation alive. As for the game, I think it's polished and workmanlike, and I appreciate it as kind of this avatar of this era when we were still putting money into games like this, and that's pretty cool. That being said, I think a lot of it is kind of boring. I think we ran out of steam on it pretty quickly, and and that's fine, but I think at 4 hours it kind of overstates its welcome a little bit. But that's up to y'all. I think it's an easy to find game if you want to try it yourself. I don't think you'll have a terrible time. It just might be a little bit mindless. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to our various rantings about the future and the past and fate and destiny and all of that together. We're going to be talking next week. Next week's going to be fun because we're closing the book on a little bit of Cinemarcade lore. We are revisiting our fabled Lost episode, an episode that we recorded, what was that, like the 4th or 5th episode we ever did, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Something like that.
It was really, it was in the first 10. And we lost the audio file due to a technical error, and we decided instead of re-recording it, we'll just give it some time.
The technical error is named J-Man.
That's her name. And we're going to give it some time. We're going to come back to it with fresh eyes, and we're going to be bringing a guest along with us as well. For those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we're watching the 1988 fantasy film Willow, directed by Ron Howard, produced by George Lucas. We're going to have a very fun guest on for that episode, and I think it's going to be a great time. And I personally will feel hugely relieved having cashed that check, having closed that loop, having finally balanced out the accounts on this and resolving our lost episode. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody in the future who doesn't realize that they're going to listen, but they're totally gonna. And we will see you next time for Willow.
Bye-bye.